All right, so in this video, we're going to look at how to get really punchy mixes in a quick and easy and free way. It's a nice little trick called a transient processor, and let's get right into it. We'll show you what's up. All right, so let's start with what exactly is a transient. A transient effectively is the very first maybe 100 milliseconds of a sound, especially a percussive sound. So let's take a listen to this kick drum. So those peaks there down in the sound wave, those are the transients, the very, very first initial part where the kick actually cracks out. Everything else would be called the decay. So the transient is what tells the human ear how far away something is. So the sharper and more forward the transient, the closer it appears to us. And if you reduce the transients, the further away it's going to appear. Now, the important thing about that is if you need your kick drum to come forward in a mix, instead of just turning up the fader, which brings up all of the other information, or if you EQ the high part of the kick around 5K forward, that works. It brings it forward in the mix, but all the other information comes up as well. So just by attenuating or accenting that transient, you can actually not adjust your entire EQ profile and make things pop out or slide back a little bit, which is super important. So let's take a look. So we're going to do examples here where we bring the kick forward and then push it back out so you can hear the difference. So just by turning up the attack, the kick obviously feels closer and sounds closer to you. And we dial it back and it sounds further away. Now let's try it on a hi-hat. Bring the hi-hat forward or push it back. Super easy. And now let's see how this works on a full drum bus. So if you need your mix to be more punchy, you put a transient shaper like this on your drum bus and you can just make it pop right out of the mix. I'll show you. All right, so we're going to turn up the transients and bring that drum bus right up front. Right there, that easy. You can just hear that the punch of your drums is going to pop right out of your mix. So if you're in a full mix and your drums are just a little back, you just throw a transient processor on your drum bus and dial it up a little bit. And you could also push it back if you wanted, say for a verse or a breakdown. There you go, it pushes them to the background. So super easy trick to just add a little punch and bring your drum bus real forward. So we've dialed this up quite a bit on this drum bus, and it sure does work. It brings the drums forward. It does small accents in an important way, and that's good to know and it's good to use, but the transient shaper is never going to replace compression in EQ. Okay, we're going to bring in this electric guitar here. And now let's add some dynamic EQ onto the drum bus. Right there, we have a lot more punch going on. Fantastic. And if you don't know this plugin, TDR Nova, stay tuned. I'm going to do a whole video on TDR Nova. So the transient shaper is not the only way to get punch. In a lot of ways, it's not the best way either, but it can be used in conjunction with good compression and good EQ. So now that we have a dynamic EQ on this drum bus, now let's dial in some transients like we did before. Now you need way less of this transient processor. It's much more easy on the ears. You're not trying to get all that effect from one plugin. Now we're talking. Now the drums are pumping out, they're kicking. It still sounds natural. So I hope you liked it. Go out and find a good transient shaper, throw it on a drum bus to get that punchy mix. Just grab it and use it and see what you can do with it. And stay tuned for a video on drum bus compression, because the transient shaper is a great little trick, but it's nothing compared to the drum bus compressor done correctly. So let me know what you think in the comments, and I'll catch you on the next one.